Hey guys, I thought today I'd do a little paint with me and tell you a bit about my artistic background. There are parts of it I'm not entirely proud of, but I also hope it's encouraging to other people who might love art but feel like it's too late or they have too much to do or they don't know where to start. So here goes. I've always been creative, and as a kid, I read, wrote stories, and drew all of the time. As I got older, I stopped doing a lot of the things I was passionate about. Part of it was because of just other interests and responsibilities, but there was definitely an element of intimidation there as well. I've really struggled in the past with perfectionism and being a huge people pleaser, and when I faced something I wasn't 100% confident in, my method was to run the other way instead of practicing. I wanted to get better, but I wanted to do it overnight. I decided to get an art degree in college, mostly because I didn't know what else to do. I chose art studies, which was basically the intro level classes to a ton of different mediums. In some ways, that experience was really good for me. It allowed me to try out different things and establish what kind of mediums were my favorite. It was also good for me just personally to start and then actually finish something, which I have long struggled with. But it was also really stressful, to be honest, and sucked a lot of joy out of art for me. As soon as I graduated, I stopped creating. It's a really huge regret of mine that I didn't jump in and continue my education, even privately, and start building up a portfolio then. I imagine sometimes where I would be now if I had. But I try not to wallow in that regret and instead let it fuel my determination to make progress now. Fast forward about 7.5 years, I was married and we had a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. I was a stay-at-home mom and there were a lot of financial and health challenges during this time in our lives. But something clicked and shifted in me, and I think I realized that even though my life was harder than it had ever been, it was never going to really get easier, and that waiting for the perfect time had only made me waste a bunch of time. I knew I wanted to create, and I was tired of ignoring that part of me. I started teaching myself hand lettering, and I'd add little watercolor elements here or there like borders and leaves. It wasn't anything super consistent, but as I posted, I got some really inspiring opportunities. I had a few commissions, and they made me so nervous I wanted to vomit, but it really helped me to build confidence. I also got invited to a local homeschool convention to do a little hands-on class on hand lettering. I love teaching and public speaking, and it was such a joy to do. In early 2020, we had another baby, and then 2020 happened, which I don't think that was a good year for anybody. I kind of took a pause the first half of the year, being postpartum and learning how to juggle 3 kids, but I was really inspired towards the end of the year and started working on digital art. I wanted to come up with designs to sell using a third-party company to print bags, mugs, shirts, etc. Unfortunately, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know about vector files or what companies were best or how to create good quality images, so it was kind of a total fail. Also during that time, we had a surprise pregnancy and then lost the baby at 14 weeks, which was really emotionally and physically traumatic for me. I abandoned the art account on Instagram I had started, and I didn't really do anything for a long time. However, at the beginning of 2022, I was invited back to the homeschool convention to teach the same class. Even though I hadn't really thought about art in over a year, this was when I really began to take my career, as it were, seriously. I decided that I would produce 9 print designs and some stickers and also be a vendor at the convention to sell my prints. It took a ton of really hard work and dedication. I kind of feel like I was able to do it only because I was so rushed I didn't have time to overthink it. I was pregnant with our 4th at the time, and I'm so sick when I'm pregnant, so I was working through that as well. Looking back, I am so proud of what I accomplished in that small amount of time. After the convention in July, I started a website. Everything was a learning curve, and my progress was slow, but I tried to be somewhat consistent and intentional with blogging and posting to Instagram. I continued to practice watercolor here and there, and my next big project was making Christmas cards and selling those and my prints at local Christmas markets at the end of 2022. In January of 2023, our daughter was born, and she was a handful from the get-go. That was a really tough transition, and so a lot of my goals kind of took a back seat for a while. But last summer, I dusted off my old motivation and decided to do this for real. I wanted to grow a business. At the same time, I was going through a kind of personal metamorphosis. I started doing things for the fun of them again, like I did as a kid, like reading and painting and nature walks. And as I grew as a person, so did my vision for what I wanted to do and be online. I wanted to post things that would bring delight and encouragement to people. I wanted to create art. I wanted to build up an inventory of beautiful pieces. I wanted to make creating feel accessible to everyone. As time passes, I'm just painting more and more. The more I paint, the more I want to paint, and the more ideas I have. I still struggle a lot with imposter syndrome and trying to kind of find my place and style in my art, but at this point, I know that these uncomfortable places are just part of the process, and the only way forward is through them. I started posting consistently on YouTube in July, and the community here has been so kind and encouraging. If there's a takeaway from this, it's that it's never too late or too inconvenient to start, as cliche as that sounds. The going may be slow, but it's still going. I'm 36 and I have so much to learn, but I'm excited for this journey, and I hope you'll join me.